Yes, this is the...
This was a long time ago for you.
I want to redo this one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see what it's like now, seeing as you've done the Billboard one twice, and you want to do it a third time already.
Did I do the Billboard one twice?
Yeah, you want to remake that one every few weeks.
Yeah. It's more like I did it 3 months ago, dude.
Right.
But yeah, I do want to redo the Billboard one, just because like I want to animate it, dude. I can imagine that shit. I mean, it's not even concept art; it's straight up illustration. The Billboard one, but this one I want to redo just because like I had such a good idea of it in my head, but then when it came to execution, I didn't really like plan it out or think it that well. It was kind of just like I want to get this done, whereas I should have just been like I want to get this done right. I don't know if people have seen the Billboard robot zombie guy, but I want to redo it because I've treated it more like an illustration, and then I want to animate it.
How do you intend to reanimate something like that?
No, I'm going to make a new one, so it'll be easier. But I only want to animate the robot guy because I've never animated before, so I think it'd be cool. But that's the difference, right? One's concept art, one's illustration.
Something to that level of detail is starting strong. It'll be an interesting style.
Oh, I'd make the robot zombie guy pretty like single tone, maybe two tone with like cool shading. Just like cool. Just try and like capture good lighting in like shading.
Yeah.
It'd be cool. But it'd be cool. You have to like... There's a difference between drawing something in 3D and then I'm assuming like animating it. Animating is like there are no shortcuts. If you want to turn something, spin the head around, you're gonna have to know what it looks like from every angle.
And in a painterly style as well, trying to make it match frame by frame. It's difficult to make it not look blah, 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 as it turns.
Oh, I'm not gonna do painterly. I'm not gonna get any textures. It's gonna be like cell shaded.
Okay.
That'd be too hard. So what was I talking about with this guy? This guy was kind of like a failure. I want to do this one again, just because I'm not too crazy happy with it. Actually, I think the end of this recording, this is like a failure one, so we don't even see the end of the painting. I do have the end of the painting somewhere uploaded, but even the final version I wasn't really crazy happy with. I am in future going to redo this one, kind of. The idea behind this was like, I went to Japan and I was like, whoa, look at these temples and like a big crazy sci-fi city. Because you feel like you're in like Neo-Tokyo, because Tokyo is Neo-Tokyo. There's like crazy buildings everywhere. You can buy like disgusting drinks from vending machines. It's the best. So like, I want to redo this, but because I'm a basic bitch in a zombie apocalypse style.
Yeah.
Robot zombie apocalypse.
You want to, because this was painted all like neon and utopian.
Yes.
So you want to redo it dystopian.
Yes, but still like a sci-fi city, right? Sci-fi city, but like post-apocalyptic sci-fi city. So the idea behind this guy was like, I was like, maybe it's like this is like a hideout. Like maybe the game is like an RP, like I don't know, like some kind of like open world game or something where you gotta like in between these buildings, because this little temple's like walled off. There's like buildings over every side of it. So maybe you like find a secret passage in, or you don't know a password or something, and then here's like a town. Inside, and there's like a temple inside, and this is like your home base. This is where you like stay, and there's like lots of little different shop vendors and stuff. And I even went to like try and build the interiors of the shops again. I only really painted up one of them, which was that hacker guy shop.
Oh, right.
With all the otaku stuff around.
I think I've seen that.
That was supposed to be in one of these like little houses.
Yep.
But I'm gonna redo it. I'm gonna redo this one and set it more as if like zombie apocalypse-y style, like a nice like I just like the idea of a temple in a city, because like it's just a cool design to have like old and new mixed together. You know what I mean? Like if you look at like Star Wars, they do that all the time. Like it's not like where's like Luke start off? He starts off in like Tatooine, and it's like old and rustic and gross.
It's funny. We talked about Star Wars last time we did one of these together.
Yeah, does it go to show that I like Star Wars?
So this was a long time ago though, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, this is like halfway through last year. This was just after I got back from Japan. So when was that?
It's about 8 or 9 months ago now.
This is like June, July. This is probably like around about my birthday.
You need to do more recordings.
That's true. Yeah.
We need to see some modern stuff.
That's true. Well, my next one, I'll record Dunskies, and we'll have it, and it'll be good. Because I'm going to actually use 3D in that one. Oh, I should record some 3D. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
That'd be great.
So this one, mainly, I think the best thing to talk about this one is how it's a failure. I'm doing the graphic read with this one, which is good, actually.
And plays into the tavern one, because you didn't do a graphic read that time, and you're talking about how it sort of kicked your ass.
Yeah. But this is another dumb thing, because I used the graphic read, and then I painted without referencing the graphic read.
Oh.
So I had the graphic reads, but I didn't use it. I painted like, oh, this is how I do it. And then when it came time to do it, I like kind of didn't that much. I focused too much on textures.
You're still learning, I suppose.
Yeah, totally. Like, I still, it was alright. I want to do more of this graphic here. Oh, I think this is the actual making it. Oh, so here's an interesting thing. This is how I made it when I'm not using 3D. This is a 2-point perspective. So, You know, there's the x-axis and the y-axis.
They're both x-axis.
No, they're not. No, one's x and one's y.
Y is up and down.
Oh, okay, then this is just x
It's
and
just
z.
2 point along the x.
No, it's x and z, because x and z, like a T.
I guess so,
It's just
but
we're
they're
looking at it
level
from an
with
angle.
one another.
And
there you go.
okay,
That's the
third
Z.
one. That's the Z. X,
That's the
Y,
Z.
and Z. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is confusing. I'm confused. I'm the guy who made it. Yeah. So yeah, it took me a while just to get this basic perspective in because it's kind of like a weird shape, and you just sort of like this is the part that really determines like the space in it. Like that's a kind of an obvious thing, but like.
Do you mean like if you want an open or a claustrophobic feel?
Yeah, not to mention like the camera. So this one we might skip over this. This is me packing on references because I didn't really have a great idea of what to do. I just downloaded a million photos. I was like, duh. And I think the goal for this painting was to make like a sci-fi city kind of beat up place. And inside was like a nice little home temple-y town, and I wanted to use as many textures as possible.
So like in a photobashy kind of way?
Yeah, totally, because I'm not good at it, so I'm trying to practice. I was trying to practice back then, and I'm still trying to practice now. I want to get really good at it. And here's a really sick tool that I found. But yeah, see how like the shots I took. So I took these photos like in Japan, and they look like we're looking at them from an angle. Like this one here. On an angle, and you want to get it as a flat image.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that one took a long while because that was a crazy angle. If you go to the crop tool and you use the perspective crop tool, you can crop out on the perspective and it'll flatten it.
Oh.
And then you can take that flat and re-warp it to perspective, and it's perfect. It's like the best tool ever, and I never use it because I'm stupid.
So you mean it's where you're taking those piping from somewhere that's going off in the distance,
Yeah.
and then you make it flat piping?
Yeah. So instead of copying it. Right, and then like trying to really awkwardly warp it into perspective. What you do is you copy it, but when you copy it, it copies it and makes it a flat.
So it does it automatically?
It takes off all perspective.
Because I've seen you doing it manually.
And it takes ages.
But it's a feature now.
Well, it's a feature, I just didn't use it.
Huh.
Yeah, so it's the perspective crop tool, I think it's called, and you'll crop something and it'll warp it into flat.
That's wicked.
It's really cool. You have to know a little bit about perspective. Like, you have to know how to follow the lines, and, like, you just kind of need to know what direction everything's going in.
But it makes using photo source, like, 1,000 times more useful.
Yeah.
You don't have to find something that's completely specific to your purpose.
Yeah, you have to... It doesn't work too well with some things, because you are taking something from a flat, and something on an angle and making it flat. So if something, like, protrudes or extrudes...
Yeah.
Whatever the word is, like if something goes in and goes out, like extrudes, that will, if you flatten that, it doesn't actually know how to flatten it. It'll just make it sort of skew a little, and it'll be a little bit weird, but that's alright. You can paint over that. It's just tedious. That's the thing I'm learning with this, like I'm trying to go a little bit more photoreal, and it's like really hard, because it's just time and detail, and you have to really know what you're doing. This is fun. This is a smart way to make a bridge, because I'm terrible at like curvy lines.
Okay.
So I made a box, because, you know, you can fit everything in a box. And I was like, what does it look like from the side? Oh, it's just like a half a circle. And then you just match it to the face.
Huh.
And there you go, it's done. And this temple was actually kind of a hard guy to paint, considering he was so, like, he's a pretty simple shape. It's just a box with like a triangle prism on the end of it, but I actually had a bit of a tough time with it when first doing it because I just didn't know the shape of a temple. You really have to, when you're doing things in perspective, there's no cheating. There's no like, oh, I think it's this. No, you really need to know like, what is the shape? Where does it end? What like proportions is it? You can't cheat it. You have to know. So I was just like, crap, I gotta look at what a temple looks like and figure that crap out. But yeah, so this part was cool. This is like, to make 4 buildings, the easiest way to do it is just to make one long thing. It's a lot like 3D. Like, if you ever modeled in 3D, even if you want to learn perspective properly, I would say the best way to learn perspective straight away is to go into a 3D program and just start learning how to build things in 3D. Because it's the same way you do in 2D. You're just building it as a basic, boring shape. Like, oh, that's a box. And then what do? Oh, I'll find the center line. Okay, I've got the center line. What do? Now I'll just bring up the top bit and build, like, a triangle on top. Okay, now I want to put little, like, support beams over the edge of the roof. And you just make the box wider and put them down. Now I want to put windows in. You just put them in perspective on the thing. It's exactly the same as building it in 3D. You just don't use 3D.
There's a lot more to talk about, though, because I was just thinking about how when people talk about perspective and how to do it, it's very rare to hear things beyond the fundamentals. Of
You have to learn fundamentals. Like,
the horizon line. Everything has a vanishing point. Drawing the lines out from there.
That's the way you got to start. Really.
That's where you start, but it's rare to hear things beyond that. And
that's because that's when it gets
really
hard.
Do with it.
That's when it gets hard, because it comes into things like different cameras, right? So as soon as you go to a 2-point, even 1-point perspective, but it's easier to figure out with a 2-point perspective. Different cameras come into play.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know how the field of view works on a camera.
Yes.
Yeah, like you can change that in perspective. It can go more fisheye. The size of the lens changes, and that's determined on where you put your vanishing points. So this shot I've done here, you see one vanishing point is actually on the painting, you can see it, and the other one was off the border. See how the canvas is so long right now? There's this black nothing on the side of it.
Oh yeah.
That's because that's where the edge of the other vanishing point is.
Okay, so you leave nothing to chance by just...
Yeah, you can't guess it. You have to know where
Yeah.
it is. So then I'm going to that dot and I'm dragging it out. So if I was to put those two vanishing points closer together, the camera lens would change, and that's how that works. So that by pushing them together, I'm making it more of a fisheye lens.
Because your vanishing points here, they're like north and east, pretty much, aren't they? Like it's a right angle.
Yeah. So if you push those right angles together, think about it. It's like you're seeing more.
Yeah.
You're seeing left, you're seeing right, you're seeing all around you. But if you have a really long angle lens, where the vanishing point's really far away, you're practically just seeing flat in one direction.
So in talking about minimizing guesswork and just having to know where everything lies, choosing those two vanishing points, being a right angle, was there a science behind that? Or you're like, here and here?
That was what the thumbs were for, because you can this is where 3D and thumbnailing comes in very handy. Because if you start painting with a perspective grid, and you remember how I said in the first part, with you're figuring out the space of those really basic building blocks of it, we were just when we were first making the square.
Yes.
And we were like, this is what it's like when we were making this grid. That's when you decide what camera you're using.
Okay.
But it's hard to tell what one you actually want to use. So what you do earlier is you use the thumbs. And you're like, okay, I want to see this much. I want to see, let's say, just to simplify everything. Let's say we're painting one room, just a blank room, a lounge room. And if you say what lens you want to choose, you'll think, okay, I want to see the wall in front of me. I also want to see the wall to my right. But I'm not going to be able to see the wall to my left, and I'm not going to be able to see the roof. That means immediately it's probably going to be a 2-point.
Yep.
And the camera is going to be sort of facing maybe the corner of both walls, and it's going to be pointing sort of down. So you can see the floor, the wall in front of you, and the wall to the side of you. And it's going to be, considering how small the room is and how you don't want everything to feel really far away, you'll use maybe a 22mm lens.
Okay.
And you'll put the vanishing points far away. So you probably won't even see them on the screen. But if you wanted to see everything in the room, you see all 3 walls, the floor, and the roof, and it feels like we're really zoomed out and we're tiny and we're an ant looking up at this big room kind of thing. Or even if it's your normal size but you want the room to feel really, really big, you'll use a more of a fisheye lens. Put the vanishing points closer together and make it feel like you're getting a really broad, really big cone of view. And
yeah, fisheye starts to take it even further with...
Oh, that's when you go
5-point.
5-point perspective. That's when you get a lot crazier. That's when you are that's when you're really mimicking a human eye. And it's to me, it's not worth it when it comes to concept art, at least. Because it's there's no point, man. You can see up, down, bottom. See this angle here, right?
Yeah.
You can see down, forward, the right wall, and the left wall. The only thing you can't see is the sky. And even then, if we were to just crop the canvas a bit bigger, we probably could see the sky. That'd sort of mess with the composition, and it probably wouldn't look as pretty. But you don't need to do fisheye lenses. It's probably not necessary.
What about where you're having to dodge some of the perspective of the photos versus the perspective of the piece? Some of those buildings on the right, you can see the roof of the balcony, even though we're looking down at it.
Yeah, that's
What do you do there?
That's I don't do anything.
Oh, okay.
So I'm still new to it. What you can do is, that's another thing why I said this one's a failure, because I was kind of just rushing to get it out when I should have really taken time to care. Oh, that's like a darken layer. That works really well to get a local color shadow in.
Oh, okay.
But just a little tip. So you see, like, front on those balconies look good, but here it doesn't look good. So you'd have to go in, here, you'll have to go in and sort of paint a little bit of depth and clean it up. So the photos are more of a base.
Right.
And that's when this skew tool doesn't really work that well. Yeah, so this photo, like, this painting, I should say. I don't know. I liked a lot of the photo textures. I think I used them pretty okay. Not great. But the values were sort of lame. Like, see, I sort of jumped straight into rendering it.
Yep.
I was using photos from the beginning. But, like, see, I hadn't even figured it out. I didn't even really know what the lighting was like. See, everything's still too, like... There's the majority of this painting hasn't even been painted. It's just a couple blobs. And, like, I didn't really know what the values were going to be. Like, how bright I wanted this stuff to be.
How do you go about the leveling and stuff in order to get it, the color of the backgrounds?
You sort of build it as you go. You have, like, a good idea, or you're supposed to have a good idea, and then you sort of mess around with it. Well, for me, anyway. You can do it any way you want. But then you sort of tweak little bits. But for here, I didn't really think about it. I was just like, I'll just throw color on and think about value later. But it's harder to tweak value the further you go in, because the more detailed stuff gets. If you want a foreground element to be nice and dark, and a foreground and a midground element to be a little bit brighter, and a background element to be super bright, you can't just do a value adjust. Like, you can't just go like, Control L, because everything's the same value. It's not going to know where the foreground and the midground is. It's going to change everything. So you're going to have to go in and lasso it.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but it's going to be tedious when you've got a lot of detail, and you've got like...
And 46 layers, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, I think this one got huge with the whole photo texture thing. And there's a lot of like little sneaky things to cheat perspective coming around.
Was this one of your first experiments with this at this level though?
Yeah, I really haven't done too much of this again. I think not the blacksmith, the shop, the blacksmith shop, and the other one, the hacker shop. We should show it after this. That was a way better version of this. Of using textures, because I didn't start straight with textures. I sort of had the idea of the painting down. I knew what it was going to be, and then I added textures. I don't think I can handle doing textures right away. I'm just not good enough. But, you know, with all learning, we're all learning here, guys.
Yeah, well, it seems that with...
Here's a cool way to cheat.
Oh, okay. Talk about that.
Yeah.
Not what I'm talking about.
Sorry. Yeah, instead of drawing each one of those into perspective, which would be a pain in the ass, what you could do is just draw them flat, and then warp them to perspective, and then shebang, it's done.
Oh, but you're using masking tricks too. Like your magic wanded them all and...
Oh yeah, and then paint in
the
them.
middle and...
Yeah, you'll see I do it again
fancy
here.
Edges.
So here, instead of like trying to draw all these hard... Like, I can just use the shift tool here, right? I don't have to think about it. Bang, it's done.
I'm looking at that one just thinking, oh man, it'd be so much easier in vector though. Because all the lines would have intercutting...
But even
components which you can slice and change and move and flip.
Even then, it'd be too hard to align anything. If you have a cube...
That's still so manual. You have to erase it with an eraser.
To me, it's so good. To me, it's
a selection tool. Oh, I'll get you into harmony.
Maybe, yeah. Who knows? Maybe we'll get into some crazy stuff. But for me, this is the easiest thing. I mean, I'm sure like 3D would make it way easier, because then you've got this and you can do it a million ways as well. I decided to make the ground pink. No, this is probably that's the mask.
Will it be a mask? Okay.
Yeah, this is gonna be the water. Also, I don't really know how to paint water too well, so this is kind of like guesswork. When in doubt, put a reflection and blur it, because you don't understand how water works. And I'm Googling, like, how does water work? I don't know. I need to study water more.
Indeed.
It looks like
study how water moves more. Yeah. Have you ever tried to figure out how water moves?
Oh, the ripples? Yeah.
Trying to animate reflections of water?
Oh, forget that. You're
madness.
better off using, like, distorting effects. Because, like, doing that by hand is insane.
Maybe. I feel like I want to tackle it one day, though.
Do it, man.
We'll see.
Yeah, give it a try. It'll be chaos. I mean, if anyone's going to be able to do it, it's going to be you, because you like your, like, warp effects. It'll be similar to the Doctor Strange video, because you could just mess around with it. But doing it by hand would be agony.
That's a good point, though. I'd like to do it twice, I guess. Do it once by hand and do it once via effects. See which one looks better.
Definitely by effects.
I reckon by hand could look better, but it would take a lot more practice. Like, do it 100 times.
Oh, probably how you fix the side of the walls.
Oh,
we just missed it. We just you kind of dig it in a bit.
Yeah, I saw it.
Also, oh, well, we skipped a lot, didn't we?
Suddenly. Anyway, previously on,
I painted these buildings up, and I added more textures, and I painted more stuff, and it's just pretty much the same technique.
You need to stop accidentally forgetting a day's worth of work.
Yeah, well, that wasn't a day.
Meanwhile, the most interesting thing happened.
Yeah, meanwhile,
glowy
all
signs
the stuff.
in particular. There's a focal point.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty simple stuff, just like a glow effect around it kind of thing. Like a soft, you'll paint it on its own layer, like that white stuff, and then you'll get a nice color.
You just paint behind it with a big soft brush.
Sort of paint behind it with a big soft brush, but sometimes it's nice to get a screen or like a color dodge or whatever on top of it. This is a cool way to cheat perspective too. If it's a really simple shape, and you just like sort of if you're just sort of like making it have depth in a 2D thing, just duplicate it and move it slightly, and then get rid of that sharp edge.
Yeah, I do that quite a bit.
And here's more cheaty stuff.
Which is pretty neat.
It's all about cheating, bro.
Well,
cheat as much as you can.
As long as it gets the right result.
Yeah, boy. Here's another thing. Remember in the blacksmith thing where I was like, I was stupid, and left everything black when I should have added atmosphere to it? Yep. I did the same thing here. I left these things black. Except that one there. I did it for that one bar. But the rest of it was black. Also, these tiles here. The edges of the tiles, that little texture I made, that shouldn't have been like that. That should have been not black. That should have been like a dark red.
Right.
But I left it black because I'm a big goof. So it's all learning, I guess.
I'm noticing at this stage, though, you're using the regular brush a lot more than you do these days.
The regular brush?
Yeah, it's just a circle. Nowadays, it's very rare to see you just using the circle. You're always using some weird wackadoo brush.
Probably. I think right now we're seeing a lot of it because I'm doing lighting. This isn't the circle brush, this is the soft brush.
Isn't it just the standard circle brush, though? You just drop the hardness way down?
Oh, yeah, I guess so. I've just got two separate for it, so it feels weird. But yeah, that's pretty much exactly what I'm doing. But here's the thing. I don't do that anymore because it's unrealistic.
Having a soft brush.
A soft brush is cool, but I think if you're trying to go more realistic, a soft brush isn't really that good because the world isn't that soft. Especially these things aren't going to be that soft. Like it's a tile.
Tiles. You mean it would be better to use a texture to
but then blend it. Yeah, blend it and give it a little bit of a graininess. You're totally right.
Like some fabric's been dropped over the tiles there, I suppose.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like tile. It feels too smooth, too soft.
How would you tackle it now?
Now I would do it like just with. Like, see the way I just did that there?
Yes.
But then I accidentally erased it away with a soft brush. I'm in love with soft brushes in this painting, aren't I? Yeah, that's another thing that was kind of sucky about this. Oh, there you go. I just did it there. I did it with the hard brush, but then I erased it away with like a little rough, painterly brush. Right? Not like that. Damn it, I keep doing it. Nick, you're an idiot. But there you go. I think there's like tons more of this painting too, because I remember I painted a whole bunch of people in here. But there's a whole bunch. I think I just sort of got lazy towards the end because I wasn't in love with it. Hello, what am I looking up? I don't know. This painting took ages just because it's such an annoying angle.
There's a lot of leveling happening now.
Just I wasn't happy with it, so I was like, I'll change it. And there's a texture.
Wow.
But this is like, I do textures, I don't usually slap like photo textures on. I do a thing where I grab like one value from like, let's say you have a picture of a rock. I'll do like the color select tool. And then I'll grab like, just this value, and I'll put the tolerance down so it gets a nice little like range. Then I'll grab that as a mask and I'll slap it in, and then I'll paint inside of it. It just gives you a lot more control than a normal texture. And here I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just like, pipes, that's sci-fi.
That's awesome though. Yeah. So when it comes to photobashy stuff, as much respect that I have for it, the thing that always throws me off is that it puts things that are not in the focal point in. Like, they're super crisp and super detailed.
Yeah.
Even though they're way off to the corner. So how would you solve that?
I think...
Rather than just making it blurry. Or do you just make it blurry?
I don't make it blurry, because that looks even worse, in my opinion. This kind of thing, like, extra painting it over. But I think what the smartest thing to do is to paint a picture as far as you can go without textures, and then add textures.
Okay.
That's probably the best way I would say to do it. See, this painting, as I said, in my mind is a failure. Because I use textures and then painted over it. So the detail is scattered all over the place. Look at these buildings right next to it. They're crazy high detail. Crazy. And then the main attraction, these marketplaces and that temple over there, is completely shadowed. Outshadowed or whatever what it is. It's like you don't pay attention to it. It's so much like...
It's lower detail?
It's lower detail. It's so less dense. It's so dense. Every shot is so dense. But like... yeah, it's smarter to do that. Like, paint it as far as you can go without using textures, and then use textures on the important things, and everything else, leave it pretty chill. Or have just crazy understanding of where your values are at, and just really, you like draw the eye with composition.
The orange that is now grey. What was that?
Or is it? Oh, that's the same way I did the water. Was how I did the. I did a little bit of concrete around these stairs.
Oh, okay.
So instead of just going in and trying to do it by hand, because like the value is so close to the staircase, if you want it to look right, it's probably going to be pretty hard to get it right.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh, I'll do it with a crazy thing so I know the shape, and then I'll go in and paint over it. Masks are amazing.
Are you crushing the layers as you go, by the way?
I can't remember, dude. Maybe
if
we go over, I'm pretty sure. I think I looked at this one towards the end of it, and it was just like, congratulations, you're at like 100 layers.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, your file is corrupt. I'm like, ah.
That's okay. I've heard somewhere that Photoshop can handle up to like 5 exabyte files. Or
what's an exabyte?
Like 3 levels above terabyte.
Oh my god.
Probably the amount of data that is currently on the internet as a whole.
Oh god.
Don't take my word for it though.
Photoshop is amazing. I love when people are like, hey, have you tried Paint Tool Sci? Have you tried painting on an iPad? It's like, no. And I'm not going to. This is my one, but I'm trying to be like accepting of new things. Like, yeah, let's try 3D. Oh yeah, we'll try this, we'll try that. But Photoshop, you can't beat it. I'm not looking forward to the day where
unless you are doing 3D.
Oh yeah, if you're doing something outside of painting, yeah, totally. Or if like animating, you would never animate in Photoshop.
You can. I do not recommend it.
There's some asterisks next to that can. Like, oh, if you want to.
It's the worst.
Yeah, and these are just like lanterns that were everywhere.
They look like little people with big heads.
Itty bitty people. I don't think I recorded painting the people in this one, because it was kind of like interesting, because I don't like painting people. It's kind of annoying. I was like, maybe I should put a texture down, and that didn't really work. And I was like, I'm gonna have to paint them. So I just painted a bunch of silhouettes. I just made a whole bunch of silhouettes everywhere, and then I just got sort of like rough textures of people and slapped them in, because it's so chaotic and frantic. You don't really need to pay attention to what every person looks like. You're not going to be looking at their faces. You just need to get like, oh, it's a huddle. Like if you were to look at a crowd of people, you're not actually looking at the individual person. You're just like, that's a crowd, and I know it subconsciously. So you want to try and capture that. So
do you think that'll happen, or will suddenly jump to that point at the end?
I don't have a recording of the finished version. I think I spent another couple hours on it. We might have to actually skip to like the actual photo if you have it.
Oh, we'll dig it up and maybe slap that on later.
Yeah,
if you want.
Let's do it. Oh, yeah. I'll show you a better way. Oh, there you go. Look, the values in this painting were kind of off. See, what I didn't do, which I should do more often, and I usually do more often. I don't know why I didn't.
Refer back to the graphic read?
Yeah, refer back to the graphic read as well, and also just focus on values. See, I have this layer, you can't see it anymore, but it's a black layer on top of every other layer, and that is my, it's like a layer that I turn on, and it turns everything to grayscale, which means you're only focusing on the values. All color goes away, and you just see it black and white. I think I did it for like a split second there.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, and that's how, that's a good way to be like, okay, this is where my values are at. This is how, if it looks bad or if it looks good. I should have been doing that more often, especially from the beginning, because I spent all this time towards the later end of the painting trying to fix up the values and make sure everything fits and feels nice. But it just would have saved a lot of time if I knew what the values were going to be from the beginning.
All right.
That's why I went in and darkened up that grass, because that grass was pretty bright a couple seconds ago, but I had to go in and darken it up. Just because it wouldn't be that bright. There's no light hitting it there.
Well, one thing with the tone, I don't know if we'll see them again, but the lights seem to be emitting blue but reflecting green on the ground. Is that just because it's sitting grass?
Yeah, grass doesn't reflect.
Right.
But, so, I don't know. It would, like, if you had a strong enough light source, it depends on what light it is. It would carry across. You can kind of, like, mix them halfway, but when it comes to that, you're better off looking at reference to see how it's done, because it's really hard to figure out what color light will affect a material. That's where studies come in handy. Like with concrete and stuff, it's pretty easy because it's stuff you draw all the time, but having a weird blue light hit grass, it's not a common thing that I paint, and sometimes it might even be hard to find reference. So
looking back, how do you feel about the colors as a whole?
I think the colors are fine. The values are wrong.
Right.
Yeah, the values are, there's too much pure white. Like the lighting wasn't really thought very well, And I think even like those buildings in the background were too bright. They should have been darkened up and being lit just by the lights.
Should you have spent more time with that grayscale layer turned on?
Definitely.
And focused
And I
on
should
just
have
that?
focused on getting the painting about halfway before putting any textures on, but I just rushed.
Well, the textures are almost the fundamentals in the end, after the perspective was in.
No, because I
They
knew
built up the baseline.
Not really. They just built up the texture. Like, in the beginning, if we go back to that, it's done now. If we go back to when we just had the line art, that's all the shapes.
Yeah.
This is when I should have gone in and just started painting with, like, getting the values right. And then I sort of started to do that, but then immediately I was like, oh, textures, because I don't want to have to think about how the wall works. But to be honest, I should have just put the right colors for the wall and the right colors for this, and then added textures, just because it makes it simpler. Because balancing all the values and also texture, detail, density, rendering, colors, it's crazy hard. I didn't have a value reference or like a main lighting or color reference. You don't need them for everything.
It's good to have value reference?
Yeah, definitely.
I've never really heard of that before, like having references for shapes and colors and stuff.
It could just be one photo. So here, just go a new tab. We'll find one that I could have used for this photo in like 2 seconds. Cyberpunk City, or like type in like Tokyo City night.
Tokyo City.
So this guy here on the far right, I could have used that as like a base value. So like, oh, it's this kind of light. It'll affect the ground this brightly. Or, oh, the night sky, it'd be like this.
Should we pop that sucker open in grayscale and see what we get?
Yeah, definitely. And see how I got it all wrong. But maybe get a different reference one. This one's alright, but it's not the best.
Oh, fine. Okay. Which one then?
Oh, we'll keep searching. This is what reference gathering is. Oh, that guy's pretty nuts.
Okay.
So this is dangerous. I can spend a lot of time here, like gathering things and trying to decide which one I want.
He's small.
It's like the size doesn't matter. You're not getting detail yet.
If I go copy, then I can just open a Photoshop document that's that size, can't I?
Oh crap! What other city shots are there?
Yeah, clipboard.
What kind of other value palettes could I use?
It's okay. We got this. So good.
Oh no, I just want to keep looking because I like looking at other value palettes because it's like
Come
you
on.
can use this stuff.
Open a thing. What are you doing?
I thought they could handle like a million gigabytes.
Yeah, me too, but maybe my computer can't. It doesn't like doing things that involve the screen.
Well, you are uploading like a 5-hour long program, are you?
I'm just transferring things from drive to drive right now.
Oh snap! Oh,
So it's doing that and then nothing's appearing. Maybe it's in the background somewhere. I don't know why it would be. But what would be good is if we open this and open a reference photo in Photoshop with their tonal values and compare them.
Yeah, all you gotta do is put a black layer on
Should we
top
take
of
that
it.
one then?
Yeah, but keep looking because I wonder. Because like right now, it's like deciding how I want my painting to look. So I should have done this before. I only did a nice little graphic. And if you're really gangster, you can do this without it. But scroll down. Let's find a good one. Which here you go. It's just a thing for you. Which one of these like would you pick? These are all a little far out. But like, how would you do
tonal
it?
values?
That's cool. This one here's
I
cool.
was trying to look at something with contrast. I mean, I can see what wouldn't work very well. That one, maybe.
Yeah, that wouldn't work very well.
Um,
This guy's pretty cool. Man, there's a couple really cool ones. Like maybe like city streets.
that one might be cool.
Yeah, that could be cool.
That one would be fascinating.
That'd be like,
But
I don't
it'd be
think
a
it'd work
mess.
for that painting.
It would be a
yeah.
mess, but the tones would certainly have tone.
These all are really like far out city shots. Oh yeah, god no. These are all really far out city shots. I wonder if there's like one of just city streets. That'll probably make it easier. Oh yeah, that's much like this guy. That's like what I should have done.
Should we decide on that one?
Yeah, that's a really good reference too, because see the light hits the tree. It's like the grey building. It's how the color hits those buildings too. That would have been a great
Let's
reference.
download it and pop it in Photoshop first.
Let's pop it in. Like having this and then going off and like maybe starting it from scratch with this knowledge in mind, or going and adding textures and cleaning it up is better than starting it from nowhere. That being said, the colors in this are kind of terrible.
So did this have photos added later on?
No, there's no photos on this guy. This was just a quick little thumb. And that's another thing I've learned from actually being in production. You really can't leave anything to like, just imply this and they'll make a new layer. Fill it in with black and put it on saturation. Color, saturation here, either one.
Alright.
So now you can flick it on and off. Another thing with value, actually, you know what, the values on this aren't too bad. I think maybe the color might be a little lame too. Because that probably looks better in black and white, eh?
Yeah, I quite like that.
So I guess, yeah, I did spend a lot of time fixing the values. Oh, maybe it is the colors that are really bad in it. Yeah, like, see how the buildings, like, all the lights cluster together here in the buildings? This part here looks kind of flat and weird.
The whole thing's darker than I probably would have expected.
I think that might be the colors. Maybe it's too saturated as well. Here, can I click this?
Yeah,
Let's fucking dissect it, see what's wrong with it. That's the wrong one. I'll click this guy. Let's do this. See if this helps out.
Should we zoom in on just that one? Oh, that's kind of neat. Which is surprising because normally,
Whoa.
like I feel like your pieces probably don't have enough color. And here's a really colorful one. I'm like, oh, I'll take it out.
Yeah, I don't know.
A little more.
I don't know.
A little more.
You reckon?
Too much. Take it back.
Ah!
Oh, actually, that's wicked.
That's like, yeah, that's like some...
I think that looks awesome.
It's a stylized game. Oh, that actually looks... Kind of like it a lot. Like crazy saturated. It's like the new...
Do it to the other one. Do it to the other one.
Should we tilt its color too?
Bring the hue saturation meter over here.
That slight tilt looks so good.
Bring the hue saturation over so we can see it.
Oh yeah. Hello. So we just tilted this over here to make it more super cool, edgy, and colorful. Where should we stop, guys?
Well, it's not really giving it more color.
Leave a comment.
It's just swapping them around.
Yeah, it changes the vibe. Psychology, bro.
Do we do the other one? Give it more color. More!
Go extreme with it. We could actually. Like, here's a fun thing we could do. Let me first put this here and saturate the balls. Oh, that looks so sick. That's like acid trip too, man. That's really cool. I'd love to play a game that looks like that or watch a movie that looks like that. That's really cool. It puts this one to shame, doesn't it?
It's making my eyes hurt a little bit.
Oh, that's what you want. I've got a migraine right now. That's exactly what I want. How do I make a new layer here? New. Pew. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, well, don't need character.
Now, how do I grab...
You can bring the brush tools over as well.
Come here. We want you over here. Eyedropper, give me that.
We could just move to the tablet screen.
Not a chance, not a chance.
Alright, mouse all the way.
This is what creativity is. Click.
Carpal tunnel.
Yes. Now we click E. And then we hold Shift. And then we press Tilt.
Tilt?
I think...
this cycles through the blending modes.
Yeah, boy.
Whoa.
Psychedelic, bruh. That's actually...
You could spend all day doing this.
Yeah, you don't want to,
This
though.
is...
You want to just know
like it's fun, but it's a time sink.
Oh, yeah.
It's like choosing the right font.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you can spend a lot of time doing this. And you get really subtle with it, too, so like... Huh. Maybe I should re-upload this photo like this now, because this looks way cooler.
I like that one with the green buildings you had just then. Yeah. Because it's got complementary colors now. The buildings are red and the buildings are green.
I wouldn't mind bringing a bit more of a yellowy green. There you go.
Oh man, Photoshop, right?
Yeah.
Who needs talent? Let's inject it in later.
Yeah, that's true.
You're very talented.
You are not
Please
wrong.
don't take that seriously.
No, I'm taking it dead serious.
Oh no.
You didn't think I'm
What have I done?
This is kind of... I'm not liking the green. Let's just waste more time messing with colors. Let's go to like a... sci-fi.
We're getting full circle now. These are the colors it started with.
I can't choose. That's nice. And you get even more subtle with it. That's really annoying. You can use Control B. And you're like, I want to edit just the shadows. And I want to make them green. Green. Purple. There, this is like the... it's so unhealthy. Oh,
it gets to a point where they stop looking better or worse and they're just different from each other. And it's all about just making a decision.
Well, this is very not realistic.
That, more towards the right. Now it looks like the scene is lit up by that sign. The other direction, you can't. See that? So
now it feels like a daytime shot.
The sign's influence on the people is almost unrealistic. Like, the scenery is so well lit that the sign wouldn't be lighting that far. That direction, yeah, it's like lighting the whole scene. And you see their shadows. The focal point has become the people more so than the sign.
Ah!
I still like that one.
This. It's my favorite. You can't have it all too saturated. It's pretty crazy.
Do you intend to redo this one?
I'm gonna I'm not gonna redo the painting. I'm gonna do like a similar thing for a robot zombie thing. I want to design like a town, like the main hub of where you'd stay in it. But I want it to be like an old temple in the middle of the city that they've like fortified.
Cool.
And like there's guns everywhere and like tanks, and this is like a better example of how to do photos. And I'm still learning. Like you see here, there's like photos everywhere. But I painted most of this first, and then I put photos in.
Right.
And I was smart about where I put photos. So I painted the bookshelf, because I'm like, oh, bookshelf's easy, and I can get the perspective perfect. And then I put in these photos, and I did the same kind of warpy thing. Painted this, put in the postery sticker things.
Isn't that one of Tessa's paintings?
Yeah, these are all three of those are Tessa's.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I messaged her, and I was like, hey, I don't want to draw anime girls. Give me some anime stuff. Valuable.
Cool, man. Thank you very much.
No,